Welcome to Rebuilding Sampdoria. This is going to be season 2. And after getting promoted from the B League last season into Serie A for this season, the aim is simple: avoid relegation. However, I've got plans on finishing around mid-table, but we need to sign some players as well as we try to rebuild what has been a pretty awful squad so far. Welcome back to Rebuilding Sampdoria. Like I said, this is season 2. Last season, if you wasn't with us for that, then we got promoted from Serie B. We won Serie B by a canter, really. It was a nice and simple league to win, really. This has, however, been a very difficult save because we've come into this with a terrible squad. Our defence has been pretty much non-existent. And last season was about rebuilding our defence to get us through the season. This time round, I've been looking at rebuilding the defence again, but this time with a bit more of a look to the future. So if we go to the transfer screen and have a look at that, have a look at transfer history. Players out, there's not really been anybody of note going out. We've had 4 players leave on free transfers. If we have a look at the released players, we've had 4 players that were released as well. If we then go back to June, we've had this guy here, Tozaj, go out on a free transfer, and we got £235,000 for Antonio Lagumina. So that's basically our outs for this summer. This summer just gone. These were the players we bought in last season. This was obviously a loan. He's now gone back. So in terms of the players we bought in this season, again, we've been pretty much looking at our defence. We spent 14.5 million. Like I said, we've not bought any money in, but Wisdom Amy is the first player we got for 8.5 million, I think. Yeah, 8.5 million from Bologna. He's not really played much by way of football, but he's a 19, he's 18 when he joined us, but he's a 19-year-old Italian. He's got a little bit of a sell-on value to him as well. He's got 5-star potential. He will be featuring for us throughout the season. Play at right back, left back, can even play a little bit at left back as well, but we will be aiming to use him. At the moment, he's kind of like cover for right back and left back, but I do want to see if we can develop this player into a really, really good player. Then we got Andrea Giorgini from Sutriol for 6 million, 22-year-old Italian. Again, a little bit of sell-on value. Hopefully that will increase as time goes on. 4.5-star potential, 3-star current. He is a starting centre-back for us. And yeah, I really like him. I think for 6 million, well, 6 million, wasn't it? Yeah, 6 million. I think he's a very decent player for this level. Then we've got 2 absolute bargains. We'll go with Kelly and Van der Cap first, as he is another one in defence, the centre back. So basically, Van der Cap and Giorgini are partnering each other in the centre of our defence. It's a brand new central defence. It's a younger central defence, 25 years old. His partner's, I think, 22. I think I said, and yeah, again, he looks very decent for this level. Not a great price, but again, hopefully by the time he's got a bit of experience with us, he's played in some games with us and whatever, that will slowly go up. And yeah, Kelly Van der Cap as a free transfer. This is his history. Not really played for any big teams or anything like that, but he's Levski, Viborg, Maccabi Netanya. I've never heard of those, I'll be honest. Groningen, I've heard of those. So, you know, he's had a bit of a career, and yeah, like I said, I think he's a very good option and an absolute bargain. This guy, though, Reda Kadra, free transfer, can play right or left, can even play in the middle if we wanted to have a attacking midfield centre. 4-star current with 4.5-star potential, 23-year-old German, capped at under 21 level. And he just looks like I love the fact his pace and his acceleration. 16 for that. That will get him a long way. If you've got decent pace and decent acceleration as a winger inside forward, he's got pretty decent dribbling of 15 as well. He could prove to be quite a tricky player out there. And as you can see from his stats so far this season, in Serie A, he's had 3 starts, he's scored a goal, a rating of 7.30. I like him. I think he's really, really decent. I think he could actually go on to be our player of the season, if I'm being quite honest. If we have a look at the schedule, at how things have gone so far this season, we've played 3 Serie A games in an Italian Cup first round game. In the Italian Cup first round, we played against Pescara, won that 8-0. If we have a quick look at the stats, it was a comfortable enough game. As you got, 27 shots a goal, 14 on target. They had no shots on target. We absolutely dominated this match. It's a bit of a false match to go by. I don't think we can really take in how good any of our players are based on this match. They're a Serie C B team. So the Serie C League and then the B League in that is very weird. But basically, Serie C is split up into other divisions. Then in the league, we played Brianza. 4-0 win against those. Reda Kedra getting on the score sheet again for us, along with Montevego getting a couple and Leris as well, our other wingers or inside forward. So our front three all getting on the score sheet there. Again, dominated this game against Brianza. Again, didn't get a shot on target, only one shot on goal. Most possession, most passes completed, most corners, much better XG as you can imagine. It was a nice, good start to the season, which filled me with a lot of confidence. Then we played Palermo, and we were away from home in this game. And Palermo, along with Bari, are the other teams that came up with us last season. And we should have won it. We really should have won it. But as you can see here, we were pretty wasteful. We had more shots on goal. We had a better XG. We dominated possession. We were slightly under on the passes completed. But overall, 15 shots at goal compared to their 6. We really should have done better in this game than what we did. Leris was terrible. That whole right-hand side just wasn't very good at all. Giorgini didn't exactly cover himself in glory. And yeah, we were just poor. And playing against a fellow promoted team, I really felt we was going to win that game, and that's going to be 2 wins from 2, but not to be. Then we played Udinese and got a 2-2 draw at home in this one. And I think maybe we edged it slightly. Montevego, by the way, is injured, so Di Stefano came in for that game. I'm trying not to play Manolo Gabbiadini, but we'll get to him in a moment. But yeah, we went 2-0 up. Those of you that watched my videos previously will know that sometimes I struggle when we're 2-0 up. That saying of 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline in football really does apply to me, because the amount of times I've let a 2-0 lead slip and the other teams come back. 2 goals in 2 minutes towards the end of the game. Personally, I don't think they really deserved it. I think we should have won that. But it is what it is. We've then been on a bit of an international break while the transfer window has closed. You've obviously seen what we've done in the transfer market. The finances do worry me a little, because our overall balance, we are in debt already. We have absolutely zero in the transfer budget at the moment. Our wage budget, we are £18,000 overspent on our wage budget. Looking at the club vision, it's still saying we're on course, but that will no doubt change when they realise that we're spending more money than we should do. And there's not a great deal I can do about it at the moment. If we look at the squad, though, this squad started off as something like a 37-man squad when we first arrived here at the beginning of last season. We have reduced it a little bit. We're down to 31 now. If we have a look at the players whose contracts expire at the end of this season, then we have got a few. For crying out loud, come on. I hate it when it does this. It tends to not want to stick. So, yeah, these are the players whose contracts expired. We have offered Gerard Yepes a new contract, so he will hopefully be staying. But it does mean out of the 8 players that are here, 7 will most likely be leaving. Valerio Ver, who's one of our central midfielders and one of their better players, I have to admit, he wants to leave at the end of the season when his contract expires. I have put him on a transfer list. I have offered him out, hired intermediaries, all this sort of stuff. No one's biting for a £5 million asking fee. So I might have to reduce that, because I'd rather get 2 or 3 million as opposed to letting him go for free. And that 2 or 3 million, when you consider our finances, would actually come in very, very handy indeed. So hopefully we can get a bit of money for him. January, we'll try and get some money for Barini as well, and just see if there's anyone else we can get. Even £100 for would be better than nothing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, they'll be leaving at the end of the season, which take our squad down significantly more. But in terms of the team we have, this is basically our first choice team at the moment. One of the main changes there is that Aguero would be in there, and we would normally have, Montevego would be in here. It doesn't make a difference to the star rate, but that is what our normal team would be. And I actually think it's a pretty decent team, actually. I think we've got a really good basis of a team right here. And I think if we can, not necessarily in January, but in next summer, if we can just add quality to some of these positions, I think we've got the makings of a really promising squad. I really do. It's just a case of letting the rubbish leave and bringing some good players in. But we do have a problem with this guy, Manolo Gabbiadini, because he is a moaner. He's 32 years old. He's 33 in a couple of months' time. And all he does is complain. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I've not got him in my team at the moment, because I just don't like him, quite honestly. He was a nightmare last season. He was moaning about squad depth. Then he'd drop his concern about that. Then he'd moan about squad depth again in a different position. I think about 3 different times he moaned about various different positions, squad depth. And it's always him that seems to lead the charge in that. But not a great deal to do about it. Nobody wants him. I have tried offering him out, but nobody was biting for him. Like I say, he's 32, nearly 33 years old. He runs out of contract in 2 years. It's not like there's a quick fix to him. So we might end up having to play him more than anything else. But yeah, this team, we're starting to build partnerships. Van der Kapp and Giorgini starting to get a partnership here. And midfield obviously knows each other from last season anyway. Hopefully Cadra and Aguero can build a partnership here. De Pauli and Leris obviously know each other from last season as well. And it's looking quite nice at the moment. It's going quite well. If we have a look at the table, we are in 11th position. Let's actually click onto it. We are in 11th position, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat. A goal difference of +3, 4 points on the board from our first 3 games. Kind of a point a game would probably be enough to keep us away from relegation. I am, however, looking to finish sort of the top part of the bottom half of the table, if that makes sense. You know, anywhere from 14th to 11th, I think would be a really good finish for us this season, and I'll be very, very happy with that. Our next game is against Frosinone, who are in the relegation zone. We are away from home. Hopefully we'll get a win in that. If we have a look at the dynamics, team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is also good, and managerial support is average. This managerial support just never seems to really move from here. I think that green line has now got a little bit bigger. It's no longer just a line. There is a bit of a depth to that. But yeah, it is what it is. In terms of the players that are asking to leave, Valerio Ver, we're happy to let him go. Aguero, if someone comes in for an offer with him, we'll accept it because we have promised it. And Gerard Yepes, we have offered him a new contract. We just click on his name, go to contract. You can see there we've got the option to change or withdraw his contract offer. So we have offered him a new contract and hopefully he will accept it. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for part 1. I will come back to you for part 2 of the video when the transfer window has closed in January. Not that I'm expecting us to be buying anybody, but it'll be just before we play Frosinone again, basically. So I'm going to play through all these games. I'll see you for part 2 to see whereabouts we are in Serie A. And let's remember, the main objective is avoid relegation. It looks like we are going to avoid relegation, folks. It's been a very decent season. It's been a bit of a struggle at times, and I'll show you that when we get into the schedule in a moment. But we are currently 8th in the table on 36 points. We have drawn 9 games, by the way. I'm not sure if that's still the highest. No, Hellas Verona have got 10. Atalanta have got 9. And there's Udinese with 10 as well. And Empoli have got 9. At one point, we had drawn the most amount of games out of all the teams in Serie A. But yeah, to be 8th, I'm absolutely delighted with that. Let's have a look at the schedule then, show you what happens. The last time you was with me, we just drawn against Udinese 2-2. So we then played Frosinone and beat them 2-0. Then we took on Torino and drew 2-2 at home. An away game against Bari that we won 2-0. Then we had a bit of a struggle, and this was quite a bleak period because, as you see, we weren't scoring goals. We weren't conceding many either, but we're not really a team that scores a great amount of goals. And so we had a 0-0 draw against Bologna, another 0-0 draw against AC Milan, then a 1-0 defeat against Lazio. At this point, I was wondering if we ever was going to score. Then a 1-1 draw against Hellas Verona, followed by a 2-1 defeat against Fiorentina. And at this point, I'm looking thinking, this is 5 games without a win. We've got Napoli coming up. We've got Atalanta, Roma, Inter, Sassuolo. Where are we picking up a win? Surprisingly, and I was very surprised at this, we actually picked up a 1-0 win at home against Napoli, then another 1-0 win at home against Atalanta. Then we had a 0-0 draw against Sassuolo and a 2-1 win against Roma. I was so delighted with this after taking the lead and then them equalising, us getting the winner in the 91st minute. That felt sweet, I have to admit. Inter Milan, we drew 0-0. I was actually quite pleased with that because Inter are very, very good. Then we played Empoli in the Italian Cup second round. As you can kind of tell by the team here, we did go very, very much rotation in this team. And yeah, we lost 2-1 against Empoli. Then we played Juventus and losing 2-1 to them. After that game, I kind of thought to myself, I wish we'd gone full strength against Empoli and rested a few players in the game against Juventus and just took the defeat. But I kind of had ambitions to try and get something from the game. As soon as we went 2-0 down after 6 minutes, I knew it weren't going to be our day. Then we played Empoli in the league and won 1-0 with a full strength team, basically. Then a 2-1 win against Salernitana away from home. A 3-1 win at home against Palermo, avenging the defeat that we had against them earlier on in the season in the away fixture. And then a 1-1 draw with Brianza and a 1-1 draw with Udinese. Now, you might be asking yourself, who's Emmanuel Pecorino? Well, I have some transfer news for you. I have some big transfer news for you. But I'm going to tease you a little bit because before we get there, just go to the Dev Centre, have a look at the youth candidates there. Youth intake preview. They reckon it's going to be an excellent intake. This is a terrific group of players coming through and has the potential to be a real golden generation for the club. It never usually is when you get told that. But let's wait and see. Apparently we've got at least one of our centre-backs looks promising. There might be a winger in there. And if you want to go at a stretch at a C, there's at least one wide midfielder that we would then turn into a winger because we don't do wide midfielders. So the youth intake is looking promising. In part 3 of the video, I'll show you exactly what the youth intake was. Don't be surprised if it's not a golden generation because it's highly unlikely that it will be. In terms of our dynamics, team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is good, managerial support is very good. And yeah, 8th in Serie A. We did, obviously, as I said, did go out in the second round of the Italian Cup. Right, let's get to transfers because I have some transfer news for you. In terms of players out, we have sold Valerio Ver. I did say in part 1 of the video that I was going to try and get something for him in the January transfer window. We actually got 4 million. I was very, very pleased with that. The agent came up trumps for us on that one. So yeah, his contract was expiring. It was going to be leaving at the end of the season. And I went and spoke to his agent and his agent said, well, Cadiz are interested for around 4 million. What do you think? I said, absolutely. The deal's been done. In terms of players to come in, you know about these first 4. We've then got into a situation where, as I said earlier on, we're just not scoring goals. So I've brought in a striker that is our number 1 striker at the moment, but will turn out to be our number 2 striker next season when I show you future transfers. Emmanuel Pecorini for £160,000 from Juventus. 3-star current ability with 3.5-star potential. He's pretty decent. He's not world beating or anything like that, but he is pretty decent. He's made 3 starts for us at the moment, scoring 2 goals, average rating of 6.83. I think that's a pretty decent start. If he carries on like this, he might even provide really good competition for starting place next season. Like I say, £160,000 from Juventus. I think that's a real bargain. I really, really do. And this one might split the audience a little bit. Tanguy Ndombele. Now, I've got a bit of history with this guy because obviously he's been at Tottenham in real life. And I mean, he's been there since 2019. I didn't realise it was that long ago. 6 years he's been at Tottenham for £53 million that they bought him from Lyon. I'd done a save with Lyon, must have been FM 2019, because he was at Lyon from 2018 to 2019 and a little bit before that as well. And he was amazing in that save. I really enjoyed having Ndombele at Lyon. And I said to a friend of mine where I worked at the time that Ndombele is a class player. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come to the Premier League. Now, my friend, as it turns out, is actually a Tottenham supporter. So, of course, when Tottenham then went to buy him in real life, he was stoked because of how much I praised him up for what he was like on FM. And I think it's fair to say he's absolutely flopped at Tottenham. In game, though, he's a very decent player. If you look at his dribbling, is 16, his passing is 16, His technique is 16. His flair is 16. He's got some really, really good attributes. And I think he could be quite a decent player for us. He will be playing in our midfield in the box-to-box midfield role. It's not a deep line playmaker or advanced playmaker, anything like that. He can do box-to-box midfield. He has got, if we have a look at what you need for it, his finishing ain't quite there, but he's got the dribbling, he's got first touch, long shots, passing, technique, tackling. I think he's pretty well suited for the role. So he's going to go basically as Ver's replacement. So Ver's gone out for 4 million. We've brought Ndombele in on a free transfer. That is decent business in my book. Bear in mind, we are broke Sampdoria. But I'll get to us being not quite as broke very soon. Let's have a look at future transfers though, because this is where we've done the most of our business. Ramon Mires is coming in on a free transfer as a striker. 27-year-old Argentinian. He will be our number one striker next season. Hopefully his finishing turns out to be better than what this is. But look at all the mental attributes he's got. He's got decent, really, really decent physicals as well. And FM is all about the physicals this year, FM24 anyway. So we will have him and Pecorino as our two main strikers for next season. Obviously Montevideo will be there as well. Then Alessandro Riccio is coming in as a centre-back. He's only 2.5-star current ability on here. He does have up to 4.5-star potential. I'm essentially bringing him in as backup because I'm happy with the defence we've got at the moment because we do have a really good defence. But once Amy Giordino or Van der Kap get injured, we are then starting to struggle again. So we just need someone in there as basically the fourth defender, and he kind of fits that role. Then we've got Luka Tapalovic. Now, I originally got him on a free transfer because when I originally went for Ndombele, he was running out of contract at the end of this current season, Ndombele, and I put in an offer of about £500,000, I think it was. But he wanted like £110,000 in wages, and I can't pay that. So I just walked away. Then I got a notification come through saying that his contract with Tottenham has been mutually terminated. I went back to him and he was available not only on a free transfer, obviously because his contract's been terminated, but for I think it was about £25,000. I'll have a look at it again in a minute, but a much reduced wage. But because I didn't think I was going to be getting Ndombele, I kind of got this guy on a free transfer, and he can play in the attacking midfield role, not that we have that, but he can also play back here as well in the Mazzala role. So it could be that we have Tapalovic and Ndombele as our two central midfielders next season. And then this guy here, Luis Fernando, however you say it, he can play anywhere on the pitch basically except defence, anywhere in the midfield and attack. I'm probably looking at him playing out wide on the left or out wide on the right. He can do the inside forward role to a very decent standard. He can be backup support to the two guys we've got at the moment, Lloris and Kedra. And he might even force his way into the team. He can also play as a Mazzala in central midfield. There's places he can play. He's not going to go short of game time. 19-year-old Brazilian, I think he could be a real star. And yeah, I mean, you look at those four players, all on free transfers as well. We've pretty much done our business for the next transfer window. And I am absolutely delighted with that. Now, the reason why we was able to go in and buy some players is because, as you know from part one, we had absolutely no transfer budget. We was overspent on our wage budget. Out of nowhere, first of all, the board offered me a new contract, and obviously I accepted a new contract. I want to be here for the next, 3 years after this one. And when I looked at the contract that they were offering me, part of it said that they were giving me £16 million transfer budget. So I came out of there and had a look at the finances, and I also got one of them emails come through where it says, do you want to change your season expectations? So at the moment we avoid relegation. We could have had not be in a relegation battle or mid-table, and they would have upped it. I think mid-table they were upping it to about 19 million. I just stuck with what I was. It gave me 16 million in the transfer budget, and I have no idea why. It's not like we're doing really well with our bank account. We're £5.5 million in debt there. So I moved 6 million of the transfer budget, which took us down to 10 million, into the wage budget. So we weren't overspent on our wage budget anymore. Then obviously with the sale of Valerio Ver, we've now got 14 million in the transfer budget. So financially, we're actually starting to look quite decent. And as well as them free transfers that we've already got coming in, I actually think we might be able to bring in a couple of decent options as well that we actually players that we actually pay for, basically. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. We've already shown you the dynamics. I'm just really glad that we've got a nice big green line going on here. But in terms of where we are in the table, we are 8th. We are actually only 3 points away from finishing 4th. That's how crazy this league is. If we have a look at our past positions, we've kind of been between 8th and 11th for most of the season. If we have a look at the past positions, we'll be able to see it just here. Obviously, we started really well, but then we dropped down to 11th, and we kind of, like I say, we hover between 8th and 11th, and that's where we've kind of found ourselves at the moment. We did go back up to 7th very briefly, but yeah, this area here from 8th to 11th is where we've kind of been so far this season. So if we can finish anywhere between 8th and 11th now, well, at the end of the season, I'll be absolutely delighted with that. It is kind of a false reading at the moment because we have played most of the teams below us twice now. So out of the 16 games we still got to go, a lot of them are either the teams that are around us here or above us up here. So it is going to be a tough second half of the season. The first half of the season, like I said, was also very tough. But let's get to part 3 and let's see if our 2 new signings, Pecorino and Ndombele, have been a success, and whereabouts have we finished in the league? Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take a bow because what a season this has been. We finished 8th, agonisingly just 2 points outside of the European places. But the new signings we made in January, they have got a tale to tell. One has been a phenomenal success and one has been a phenomenal failure. We'll get into that shortly. But in terms of the league, 38 games played, 17 wins, 14 draws, 7 losses, a goal difference of plus 16 and 65 points on the board. If we actually go and have a look at the stages part of it, I've kind of given a bit of a clue away in that previous page as to what's going to come up shortly. We were not quite as good defensively in the second half of the season as we were in the first half, but we did score more goals. We ended up with 55 goals scored and 39 goals conceded. 39 goals conceded is still among the best defensive record. I mean, AC Milan, by the way, only conceding 20 goals, scoring 96. They only lost 3 games all season. One of those was against us, away from home for them. It is at our place. So we can take some comfort in that. But yeah, let's have a look at the schedule first. And the last time you was with us was just before we played Frosinone in the league. We drew that 1-1 and drew Torino 2-2. So we'd had 4 draws in a row there before we then went and beat Bari 2-0, Bologna 2-1, AC Milan 1-0. That was a great win, that one. Lazio, we lost 1-0 away from home, but then back at home against Hellas Verona, we won 3-2. Fiorentina, we drew 3-3. I think that was a highest scoring game of the season, actually, a 3-3 draw. We had another one down here as well. Then we had Napoli where we lost 3-1. We then drew with Atalanta 1-1 and a 2-1 defeat to Sassuolo. And then a 2-1 win against AS Roma. I think we've got a double. Yeah, we've done a double against AS Roma this season, so I'm very happy with that. Then we finished the season. I mean, this was part of us finishing the season very strong. After a little blip here without a win, 2 draws and 2 defeats in 4 games. We then went on a bit of a good run with the win against Roma, a 3-3 draw against Inter Milan, a 2-1 win against Juventus. And then we finished the season with a couple of nice fixtures, a 3-2 win against Empoli and a 1-0 win against Salernitana. Now, let me just get to the players that we've brought in January. We brought them in. So the one that's been an absolute disaster, probably not a surprise to a lot of people, Tanguy Ndombele. Now, to be fair to him, he's not been that much of a disaster in terms of his performances because he's made 3 starts, 2 sub appearances. He's got 1 goal and 1 assist. We look at it up like here at 7.10. That's pretty decent going. The problem is he's only played 5 games because of the injuries he's had. He has been injured pretty much the whole time. Bear in mind, he arrived beginning of February. It's now the end of May. So that's what, 3 months? And he's effectively been out injured for 3 months. It is ludicrous. We'll show you that in the medical centre shortly. But Emmanuel Pecorino, oh my word, £160,000 we paid for him from Juventus. 18 goals, 2 assists and 5 Player of the Match awards from 19 appearances at 7.51. That's 20 goal contributions in 19 games. He has set the league on fire. And if we go back and have a look at the league, he's finished third in a top goal scorers list. He's only been here 3 months, 4 months, whatever it's been. But he's finished third in the top scorers list. He's only 5 goals behind Rafael Leao, who was the league's top goal scorer for the team that won the league. He's top of the average ratings with 7.51 as well, better than Rafael Leao. Okay, he's played more games. But he has just been an absolute sensation, this boy. He really has. And like I say, he's 23 years old. He's a 4-star player. That's gone up, so that was 3.5 when he was here. And the fact that he's had this kind of a season, I mean, we've got another striker coming in the summer, ready for the start of next season. I can't leave him out. And 160,000, I think this has got to be the biggest bargain I've ever had in the history of my time of playing Football Manager. And I'm not even joking you. He has been incredible. If we have a look at the medical centre, at the injury history, I mean, here's in Ndombele, for example. We just filter it by name and go down to Ndombele, wherever he is. Where's he hiding out at? Here we go. So he started off, he had a dislocated shoulder, kept him out for 2 months. Then he had a groin strain that kept, literally, he had the dislocated, we played him in a game, and then in training before the next game, he dislocated his shoulder, which was going to keep him out for 2 months. Then he came back, he had a substitute appearance, and then in training after that substitute appearance, he's got a groin strain for 3 weeks. And then he came in, played, I think, 2 games and maybe 1 substitute appearance, something like that. Scored his goal, got his assist, and then he's got a calf strain that's kept him out for 3 to 5 weeks. He's been here since the end of January, beginning of February. 83 days injured from 3 injuries. I mean, that is pretty much 3 months. And he's had more time out injured than anyone else, even though he's been here shorter than anyone other than Pecorino. So, in that respect, and if we look at him as well, have a look at his, where is it? Here we go. He's not even listed as injury prone. So, I really don't know why he's had this amount of injuries. I don't know if it's just bad luck or what it is. But as you can see from the injury table, we have had a lot of injuries in the second half of the season especially. But, you know, I've said it before how injuries are just ruining Football Manager at the moment. I understand players get injured, but this is just far too much in my opinion. It's probably the worst I've ever known it to be. But let's get back to the positives. If we have a look at dynamics, we've got team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is excellent, managerial support is very good. We've also signed a new contract. If we have a look at that, we're now on £10,000 per week. We were on 7,750. We've had a offer of a job interview from Raul Hispalis, I think it was. We obviously didn't go to the interview because we're not going to be doing that. If we have a look at the Dev Centre, our youth candidates, this is what we've had coming from our what was meant to be a golden generation. And I've got to admit, it's actually pretty decent. We've got 3 5-star potential players here and a 4-star potential. I'm not really worried about these ones. The director of football signed them. I just made sure these 3 were signed. So we've got Gabriel Gilardi, who's a 16-year-old winger, can play right or left, can also play up top, but he's got finished at a 14. 1.5-star current ability with 5-star potential. We will really hope we can get something out of all of these 3, really. Marco Nicolini. Now, this one I'm going to have a little bit of a chat with you about, because Marco Nicolini, remember the name, he's 16 years old. He's a centre-back, can play right, can play left, but he wants to be a centre-back. And I'd like him to be a centre-back. However, he's 5'11". And to me, if you're 5'11", you shouldn't be a centre-back. Now, I can guarantee you, even though he's only 16 years old, by the time we finish this save, he'll be, 19? He will not have grown and he will not have put on any weight. This part here, I think, needs to be fixed as well from Sports Interactive, because you get players come in, they're 15 years old, they could be 6'5", and I mean, don't get me wrong, I know kids are a lot taller these days, but I personally do not see kids at 6'5", 6'6" at the age of 15. And more to the point, they never grow either. But on Football Manager, the kids never grow. They never get tall. In theory, he should start off at 5'11" and maybe grow to 6'1", by the time he's 20, 21. And that I would consider to be more realistic. 6'1", he's grown a couple of inches, fine. I'm not saying he should be 6'8" by the time he's 21, but, there should be some growth. Anyway, that's that over with. Alessio Pinelli is the next one. He's up here. We're actually going to take hold of his training now because he's not going to be playing as a wide midfielder. That is for absolute certain. So he's unconvincing here. I would like him as an inside forward on support. We will take control of his individual training. And I think what we'll do as well is we'll set him strength training, I think. Strength and jumping reach. Yeah, we'll set him that for the time being. And the coaches will tell me when it's time to change it. So yeah, I want him as playing here as an inside forward. He can use either foot, as you see. He's very much two-footed. Very good in his left, very good in his right. So yeah, he's another one. 16 years old, 5'9", will play out on the left. The other guy can maybe play over on the right. You can kind of see a little bit of a future there with, like I say, him on the right, him on the left, him as a centre-back. 3 young, homegrown Italian players for Sampdoria by the time we end this save. That would be lovely. They'd be around 19 at that point as well. So what we will do next is, if you remember last season, we never got an end of season review. So I'm going to play forward a little bit now to see if we do get an end of season review. If we do, I'll bring it back to you. But if we haven't had it by the end of June, then I'll just assume we're not going to get one. We have an end of season review. Oh my God. Amazing. I don't know why we didn't get one last year. I mean, if this was last year's one, we'd have had the little Serie B trophy on it, but we don't get a trophy this time around. But no surprise, in terms of the new arrivals, Emmanuel Pecorino is our best signing from Juventus under 23s. £160,000, as I said before. This is what he's done, 7.51. Lovely, lovely stuff. Tanguy Ndombele coming on a free transfer. Has barely played because he spent all his time injured. And he's 7.10. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some football out of him next season. Reda Kadra. Now, what's all this? This is mainly due to getting such a good player without having to pay a transfer fee. We are pleased to see that the minimum fee release clause of £6 million would mean an excellent deal for the club should it ever be triggered. Okay, so Reda Kadra is coming from Brighton, 33 starts, 2 sub-appearances, 8 goals, 9 assists at 7.05. I did say that I felt like he was going to be a really decent player for us. I think that's been pretty decent, to be honest. I would like to have seen the assists in double figures, but bearing in mind we spent the first half of the season barely scoring a goal, I actually think he's been very good, and he's a +7 rating. Wisdom Amy, this guy has been fantastic. He really has. He does have a release clause of £9.5 million in his contract, which I'm hoping nobody triggers. We bought him for £8.5 million, 31 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist at 6.95. He came in at a 2-star rating on his current ability. He's now up to 3.5 stars on that. He has been sensational. And what's been nice as well is the fact that he's only missed... No, he's not missed any. He's going to miss the first game of next season with a suspension because he's finally picked up 5 yellow cards. So he barely gets booked. And he is an excellent defender that's getting better and better and better. Andrea Giorgini, felt a bit sorry for him. He started off playing for us regularly, but then I brought Wisdom Amy in and he didn't really get much of a look in after that. 33 appearances, 2 goals, no assists, 6.92. For £6 million though, he's been decent and he'll be part of our defence again next season along with Wisdom Amy and Van der Cap as well, plus the new guy that we're bringing in. Kellyan Van der Cap, the other new signing, free transfer from Levski. 3 goals, no assists at 6.92, was pretty much a regular starter. He's missed 1 game for suspension, but other than that, he has been ever present for us. Transfers out, I'm not going to really look at them too much. Like Benedetti was about the main player we let go in the summer. Obviously, in January, we let go of Valerio Ver, £4 million. He's gone to Cadiz, 16 appearances, 3 goals, no assists at 6.61. I'd hardly say he set the place on fire. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, 235,000 for Legumina as well. Again, he's hardly set it on fire where he's gone. If we have a look at the season results for Serie A, 92% average home attendance. Pecorino with 18 goals, their top goal scorer, no surprise there. We finished 8th. The board expectation was attempt to avoid relegation from Serie A. We done that with flying colours. Second round knockout to Empoli, we fielded a reserve team. Yeah, I think we just move on from that one. Biggest win was 8-0 against Pescara in the Italian Cup. The match to remember was a 1-0 win away from home against Atalanta. I mean, I think there's more matches to remember than that, to be quite honest. But goal of the season from Valerio Ver. Ver provides a perfect finish to an excellent team move by scoring a fierce effort from 23 metres out. And that was in a 2-1 win against Salernitana on the 5th of January. If we have a look at the finances, our previous and current in terms of reputation is as it is. We've had no new sponsorship deals, but our sponsorship has gone up by a couple of million. Our broadcast revenue's significantly gone up. Our corporate and hospitality has gone up by about 700,000. Competition prize money has gone up by about 2.5 million. And our match day commercial and retail has gone up by a few 100,000. The shirt sales, Cadra, Ndombele, Vieira, Askildsen and Gabbiadini. The fact that Cadra and Ndombele are in there kind of makes me feel good because I bought them. So good job me. Then we move on to the overall best 11 of the season. Let's see if we agree with this. Falcone in goal, Aguero left back, De Pauli right back, Amy and Van der Kapp in the middle, Yepes, Askilden, Vieira, Cadra, Leris, Pecorino. Can't really argue with that really. I would say that maybe going forward we've got Ndombele in here as well. But yeah, I think overall I'll probably agree with that. In terms of the accolades, most player of the match awards in a season, Emmanuel Pecorino. I mean, I keep saying he's only been here since January, February really. 5 player of the match awards, lovely stuff. Worst discipline was Fabio De Pauli. He picked up 9 yellow cards, no red cards though, but 9 yellow cards, so he's a bit of a naughty boy. In terms of the player awards, fans player of the season, Reda Cadra. Quite surprised at that actually, that he's won that. I thought it would have been Pecorino, but fair enough. Young player of the season was Pecorino. Sign of the season was Pecorino. Goal of the season, Valerio Ver. Top goal scorer, Pecorino. Most assists, Reda Cadra. Most player of the match awards, Pecorino. Highest average rating, Vladimiro Falcone. We have just signed him to a new 3-year contract as well. Most passes completed per 90 minutes, Andrea Giorgini. Slightly skewed by the fact that he doesn't play as often as some of the others. History in the making. Sampdoria took a little while to get going, but really set themselves up well with their mid-season run. Once Sampdoria got rolling midway through the season, it looked hard to stop them finishing impressively overall. Fair enough. The manager timeline is what the manager timeline is. If we have a look at some of this stuff, overall best 11, yeah, I mean, Cabaselle's got a slot in there. I don't really agree with that part, but yeah, it is what it is. Season review, support influence on the board is high, 48.6 thousand extra social media followers, 5,500 on a season ticket waiting list. Still absolutely nothing for corporate. You'd have thought they'd have addressed that by now. The club vision and expectations, we're doing fabulous on all of that, quite honestly. Next season, I want us to finish mid-table. So that's quite surprising because I would have thought it would have had something like avoid relegation still, because Foot Manager doesn't tend to be that adventurous. So they seem we finished in the top half and they're saying finish mid-table. Fine with that. Then my contract is due to expire. We'll accept the current vision. The dynamics is what the dynamics is. Gabbiadini, Falcone and Aguero are our team leaders. Hopefully we can get rid of him in the summer. End of season team meeting. We just need to tell them that we're going to finish mid-table in the league. So the aims for next season. Where's mid-table? There you go, mid-table finish. They're pleased with that. That's exactly what I wanted. That'll be all for now. We like to leave them happy. I don't want to upset anybody. New season team report, yeah. End of season squad break. Sampdoria training camp. We're going Morocco. Casablanca in Morocco. We'll go to Austria. There you go. I think we went to Austria last time, didn't we? I can't quite remember now. But there it is. In terms of the finances, by the way, I am a little bit worried about it. I'm not worried about that because the committed spending is what I'm going by. Once players leave, we will be £100,000 under our wage budget. We've already got players lined up to come in, so there probably won't be a great deal, if any, transfer business done in terms of players coming in by the time I see you next for part one next week. But our overall balance, £5 million in the red, I'm kind of wondering when that's going to go back up again, because we did have a message from the board as well where they are injecting they injected 1.2 million to help with the club's running costs. At the time it was like 9.5 million pound in the red. Don't really know what they expected 1.2 million to do, but I'm assuming it was just to tide them over. But that is it for now. We have had an amazing season. We finished 8th in the league, just outside the European places. This is the end of season 2. We've got 3 more seasons to go. And in that time, we have to qualify for the Champions League and win Serie A. So by the end of next season, we need to be somewhere in the European places, if not qualifying for the Champions League, because we need to have more than £14 million to spend on players if we're going to win this league, I think. Join me next week. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe as well. I'm trying to get to 250 subscribers. That would be amazing. And I'll see you next weekend, next Sunday, 2 p.m, as always, for Season 3 of Rebuilding Sampdoria.